Right? All right.
Chicken dance.
Right. So, we're talking about urban farming. A lot of people, especially on the East Coast now, have turned into like rooftop farming. They have a lot of old buildings now that they're not utilizing anymore. And they're starting to come up with green spots in their downtown areas. Is that something that you see that could translate easily into a lifestyle here in California or anywhere else in the country?
Well,
I think so.
I think so because the containers, gardening can go.
We saw that in India.
We saw it in India. We saw you can see it in New York.
Rooftops.
And containers, we had the original backyard had a 30 by 30 patio, and that was about a big quarter of the backyard, a big chunk of the backyard. And we had container gardening with planters and earth boxes and self-watering containers. And that containers can go on patios. They can go on rooftops. Obviously, you have to worry about weight on some of these old buildings.
And
sunlight. Yeah, if you're in the shade, number one thing you need sunlight. So if you don't have any shadows on the rooftops,
right.
Getting it up there, good luck. But
if the higher
I think cities need greenery anyways.
Yeah.
There's
Anywhere
a lack
to
of
add to the beauty of.
Even if it's not food, just something green.
Calms people. There is people when they driving through, and just to bring up a story of, I think there was a customer coming, and she either had a sight impaired friend or a blind friend. So they were driving looking for us, and the blind guy said, "We're here," and she's like, "Really?" She goes, "Yeah, I can feel it, smell it. I feel it."
That's amazing.
So there is when you have a lot of greenery, you can feel a difference. And, there is a lot of abandoned places and there's a lot of empty lots and there's asphalt. They know. I mean, I think City of LA is now painting asphalt white. Just to try to reduce the heat island. Right. That's great, but we also need a lot more greenery. And if the greenery can actually feed people,
or even feed the wildlife, that's more.
We're only like 4 square meals away from total anarchy, I think they said. It's deprive people from 4 square meals, and it's total anarchy.
Right.
And food, you can't live without it. It's one of our most important elements of
can't
life.
Eat money and oil, but
cars are nice and this is nice, but you still got to eat.
Yeah, exactly.
And we have to, as cities, I think they have to pay more attention to the fact bringing the food back home, bringing everything back to the house.
I think some of it has to do with real estate prices because there's less and less vacant lots that used to be community gardens. There's lots of stories out there about developers come in and somebody who's sitting on a property for a while and somebody offers them and they sell out. I mean, it is because of the urban environment, the real estate values of a vacant lot that could be that could be now turned into $20-30 million condos or whatever it is, and they can. Hey, it's not stupid. But it's just if you can afford to put some greenery anywhere.
And it's also sad because there is people our ages. There is a movement of young people trying to get back to farming. The people want to,
but can't afford it.
But they cannot afford it. There was one guy. He says, "I'm saving up. I'm working all these jobs to maybe I'll be able to afford land at 70 that I can't farm." There has to be some sort of system. If somebody wants to grow food, there should be
an incentive for young farmers
who can't afford land.
Because that's what I'm curious about.
We could afford our place if,
if we had to buy it now.
It's like Dad made a good move, but it's like,
we'd be out in the desert somewhere.
Because that's one of my dreams when I retire from my day job. That's what I want to do. I want to have a little piece of land and do a little farming and. I thought about the dairy thing, but then I saw the commitment to that, and I was like, "No, when I'm old, I'm not trying."
Less
7 days a week, and man, that's just a bit much. But I know they have a lot of. You were talking about the containers. I see now that they're using containers with like hydroponic systems inside of it. They're using hydroponics for other things than weed. I mean, if that's your thing, whatever. Right.
It's legal,
right? They're using these systems inside where it's like dirt-free growth, of vegetables, and that seems like something that could possibly
revolutionize.
But I mean, I was reading something. They were talking about the taste was just not.
Yeah,
the same
it's not the same.
I would agree.
I'm sorry,
right.
I have to say, dirt tastes good. You can taste it. You can taste it in the vegetables.
I would have
to agree. Is that what you had for breakfast?
Well, see, Dad always believed. The one thing is, he said he always growing, viewing the water around him, he saw that farmers viewed dirt as something to hold up the plants and then dumped a lot of fertilizer and chemical on it.
Right.
It starts in the soil, and they say that the food today does not have the minerals or the nutrients that the food 50 years ago had. It's because we have depleted our soil. We don't put anything back in it. So Dad really took care of his soil. He went from being, dry, chalky to rich or dark, and he's like, it's still not dark enough, and he wanted to get better.
Right.
And people say our salad and our produce, they're like, I grew lettuce and it does not taste like yours.
What do you
and Dad
put in
is like,
it? Yeah.
it's the soil.
It's the soil.
It's
Yeah,
the
they would say
soil.
it's like
So if there's no soil, then you have to debate whether it's going to taste the
It'll
same.
have nutrients, but it may not taste the same.
Right. It's like you have to rotate it like every 7 years or something like that.
Yeah, you do. You have to take care of the soil. And we produced 6,000 pounds of organic food off that property continuously
right.
for over 10 years, and you have to not deplete that soil.
Right. That's what happened. A lot of people don't realize in history that, like in the 1930s when the Dust Bowl happened, is because they overgrew everything and they depleted it. And
They raked it. And,
And that's what caused, that whole breakdown of the ecosystem in that part of the country.
If you're speaking of current events, they had one of the Middle Eastern war that's continuing now.
Yeah, it's because of the drought.
Because of drought and famine.
I think it's one of the first wars that could actually be linked to the fact that the farmers and the drought.
It's like Mad Max? People are fighting
and then
over water?
We have water problems. I think they said South Africa.
South Africa. They said, they were due to run out of water.
And they extended it somehow, but they were like, they're turning off the taps and said, figure it out. Like, to the people. Figure it out. Where do you get water from?
But there is hope because, there are people doing it like we are. And I went to a farming conference in January, and there was an old time farmer from Nebraska, and he did that he took tractor land, and he did a experiment with that, and what he did was the till with the hooves of the animal, and they regenerated the land.
You can
regenerate. So there's hope. So
just people have to.
They just have to work at it.
It's a little bit more work.
To accept, and the government
a little less money.
But
if you do it right, the garden or the farm,
you can make the desert
should get better and not worse. If you're gonna rape and pillage, it's not gonna look good in a couple of years.
Right.
So.
Now you guys also dabble in alternative fuels.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how do you? What are they, and how do you use them?
Well, one of the energy, in terms of energy, we had solar. We have 12 solar panels on our garage. We put that in with the city of Pasadena's help in 2004. We had the next project at the time was biodiesel, which is vegetable oil converted into fuel. You can. There's two different ways to. It's a little confusing with the biodiesel versus veggie oil. You can convert the car to run on vegetable oil, or you convert the oil into biodiesel that will run in any diesel vehicle or generator. So at the time, we were making 30 gallons a month, and since we worked at home and had a couple of deliveries, that was enough. We ended up with 3 diesel, 2 Mercedes, and 1 Chevy Suburban. Unfortunately, Dad died. We had to sell some of the cars. So we still have the truck. I haven't quite got up to back up to speed on the biodiesel, but any diesel vehicle can run on biodiesel. Basically, it's vegetable oil heated up to 130 degrees, and you add methanol and lye, and you mix that all together, and the reaction that takes place, the glycerin drops out, and the finished product is biodiesel. The stuff on the top is biodiesel, and that will run in any diesel engine.
Even a generator. We can generate our house on a diesel generator.
Without modification.
A little chemistry class.
There we go. Yeah.
Well,
There's a test afterwards.
What was cool is we would deliver to the restaurants, and they had the grease. So.
Right. You know, that's one of the things. I wrote an article a few years back about a guy out in Pasadena who had his engine in his Benz converted over to use biodiesel, and he'd stop by like the fast food restaurants and get their old French fry grease and
we had
use it for fuel.
Had a good in because like catering companies, they would just use the oil once because the less the oil is used, the better quality it is. Sure. They would use it once, and then they have to go off site, so they pour it back in the buckets. And after they pour it back in the buckets, you know what they do? They actually drove it to a house and left it on our porch. It's awesome, and they'll do it again. But it was just like, wow, how do we get into this? The other people have to get like grimy and suck it out, and these guys like delivered it in nice little containers onto our porch. Nice. Like, this is awesome.
We go home, we come back, and there's like 100 gallons of oil on our driveway. It's like
used once, and I think if you do the titration, you know, when you measure the amount of soaps in it or whatever, it was like perfect. It was like,
but when
this was
we did
awesome.
that, it was pretty. I say scary, I guess, when you first do that, because you're saying you're making this and you put it in that,
and you're heating it up, and then you have to vent it. Boom.
Methanol and lye also makes other things, but yeah. So we did have it was like we have the system was a converted electric water heater. So basically, it converts, instead of running hot water, it runs, obviously not get natural gas. Please don't try this at home. Don't try this at home. Not an electric water heater that was converted from internet plans to heat up vegetable oil. So that was a self-contained system that Dad modified, and
it was a biodiesel reactor. It was a very interesting looking machine, to the point where I think one time Dad was working in the front yard, and we had been written up in many papers at that time, and there was like these two cops stop, and they're like, "Hey, you're the man that makes biodiesel. Can we see the system?" And Dad just kind of sat there for a minute. He goes, "What if they think it's something else?"
hide the methanol, hide the meth.
I know, but they were all cool about it. We're just like, it is biodiesel.
Right.
You pump in oil here, you heat it up here, and you pump it out there.
Federal officer paying your
hide the marijuana. No.
Right. Now, okay, we're coming, unfortunately, to the close here, getting close to it. If somebody wants to start a farm, where do they begin? A young person with some kind of capital or whatever they can get, where would they start out at?
Start small, because most people have big dreams, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you have the reality is it does take time. It does take up your life, and it's not. I would say not that easy.
It can't be bought.
People
come to a place and say, "I want this."
After
now,
32 years, when Dad bought the place, 32 years later, that's what it looks like, and they want to go and get a property, and they said they want to copy that, and they want it on that property, and you're saying, you got 32 years? If you have a couple $1 million, we can cut that in half, 16 years. It takes time, and it's not unfortunately, with the digital age and everything wants instant makeovers on TV, people convert things and overnight.
and one
something
size
looks
does
like,
not fit all.
No.
Yeah.
So just know that it's a commitment, but it's worth it. Don't quit your day job if you have one.
Be patient with yourself. Don't be hard on yourself.
Yeah, don't be hard on yourself. You're gonna make you're gonna
make
have
mistakes.
You're gonna make mistakes. We make mistakes. We still make mistakes. And like I said, with farming, it's not all. You might have planted the plants right and everything, but the weather's the wild card.
Right.
The greatest mistake a farmer can make is think he's in control. So.
All right. You got to be humble about that.
Exactly.
Whole thing.
But then have hope for the next year, and that's what farmers do. They still
Hope
have the
springs
hope.
anew. And I would say if anybody has to do this project, connect. It is lonely. It is when you have a failure and something's not working out, you can get really down and quit. So have a community, and that's why farming communities have always been so strong.
And families, family farms.
Call on people. I think often people my age have gone back to the parents' house, who they actually have house, and they would farm in their parents' backyard, so they get the use of a land or an elderly person's property. Something that
community garden.
Community garden. So form relationships. You don't have to do it all at once, and support
One
people
step at a
like
time.
Support the local bread maker.
Right.
You may want to learn bread, but support her, and then keep going.
And another thing is keep it simple. Was Dad's motto. Is people think they need to read all these books and take all these courses and do all these classes, which are great. However,
just
if
do
you
it.
don't,
Just do it. Yeah.
Just take that from Nike. But if you take a seed and you plant it, it will something will grow. How well and when it will grow and nothing. Nature, if you look out there, it grows. Where you want it and when you want it, that's the tricky part.
Work with nature, not against it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, please give a plug to your farm and where people can find you.
So you can find us on our website, urbanhomestead.org. We're on Facebook at Urban Homestead. We're also on Instagram at The Urban Homestead.
YouTube.
And YouTube channel, Urban Homestead, and our podcast.
Generally, Google Urban Homestead.
And we're the Dervaes family, so
Okay.
We're all on
continue that.
Facebook.
We're all also on Facebook, too. So.
Okay. Well, the Dervaes family, Justin, Jordan, and Anais, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it was a
blast.
pleasure.
It was great.
Blast.
And we had
And
great
you'll have
fun.
to maybe come out and see our farm.
I am going to do that.
And we
buy
brought
something.
something from our farm, too. So
I will
we'll give
do
you
that.
Brought
to
some
that.
gifts from the farm.
Nice. All right. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank
Okay.
you.